Part 105. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 1045. He blinked his blue eyes and said with a smile, "Woo, it's really convenient to have this rain shelter." He is the manager of the farmland, so he naturally spends most of his time in the farmland. The tall tower in the middle of the farmland is where he lives. With a panoramic view of the surrounding scenery, it is undoubtedly the best place to manage. "What does the scenery look like here during the rainy season?" Subai asked. He regretted a little. He should have taken the time to take a look during the rainy season, so that he could know how effective his rain shelter was. Back in Wu, when it rains during the rainy season, the awning perfectly distributes all the rainwater to other places. There is no leakage anywhere, so there is no water on the farmland ground. He waved his hands happily because the farmland has good drainage measures. All the water flowing into the farmland from other places has been drained away, and there will be no accumulation of water. The more he talked, the happier and more excited he became. If it weren't for the fact that he couldn't recreate the scene now, he would have wished to be there. Repeat once. It seems that this rain shelter is really useful. How will the crops grow in the farmland during the rainy season? Subai asked. Corn and rice grow very fast. According to Wu, they love water and are quite suitable for planting during the rainy season, but their growth speed is limited. He explained. All the corn grown during the rainy season came from the giant bear tribe. At that time, they used corn seeds in exchange for porcelain. Although there were not many seeds at that time, Subai had plant growth skills. Now a lot of seeds have been saved. Rice was also grown from the system. When it was grown, Subai was very happy. Because in this way, the tribe no longer only has wheat, but rice is what he is used to eating. Food. The plump rice grains are cooked into rice or porridge. No matter how you cook them, they are unforgettable and delicious. It doesn't matter, as long as the farmland doesn't remain empty during the rainy season, it doesn't matter no matter how slow the growth rate is, Subai said calmly. This was also within the scope of his expectation. Originally, the land was very wet when it rained, and it was difficult for the crops to be satisfied. Rice was okay, after all, it likes water for a long time, but corn is not. It's different. So during the rainy season, corn is planted in the middle of the farmland, and rice is planted all around it, and the terrain in the middle will be higher, in order to keep the land as dry as possible. It's a witch. I will continue to manage the farmland well, he immediately responded respectfully. Although he didn't get the compliment directly, he felt very happy when he saw Wu was in a good mood. By the way, during the rainy season, are your farmlands often harassed by ferocious beasts or wild beasts? Subai asked. He had never heard anyone mention this matter to him. Now that he is here, he asked him together. But he also knew why he didn't know these things, because many things were directly controlled by Yan Jiao. To deal with it? As a chief, he naturally has to deal with a lot of things, in order to prevent many less complicated things from going up to Yong'an Tower. This is also the right given to Yan Jiao by Subai, that is, he does not need to report everything to him. Very few, because it is expected that the ferocious beasts like more rain. Because there are rain shelters in the farmland, the amount of rain may not be as sufficient as other places, and the ferocious beasts come less often. He tried hard to recall what happened throughout the rainy season. Even if they came, they were relatively easy to deal with. They were quickly dealt with and did not affect the farmland at all. Now the farmland is surrounded by wooden fences. Although it is useless to the ferocious beasts, it is a division at least, and it looks neater. And there will be enough time for the managers to deal with it. Farmland residents. He is not the only one. Some reserve warriors from the tribe will also be arranged here to protect the farmland. In addition to ferocious beasts, people from other tribes also need to be on guard against them. People in the primitive era did everything. Gotta come out. That's good. I was worried that you wouldn't be able to cope with it. It will get better gradually in the future. The number of people assigned to you will only increase. This will make it more secure to defend the farmland. Subai put his hands behind his back and began to wander around the farmland. He had the idea of continuing the transformation. Thank you, Wu, he happily responded, and then followed behind him very respectfully. Yuying felt very good when she saw that the farmland was so well protected, and now she was planning to start growing crops again. The crops currently owned by the Yanlong tribe are corn, rice, and wheat, as well as potatoes, sweet potatoes, peppers and cabbage, etc. These crops must be planted evenly in the farmland, and it is not easy to manage them. Wu, the other side is the farmland being reclaimed, so we have two pieces of farmland. Yu Ying walked carefully on the farm path. Yes, one piece of farmland is enough for the people of our tribe to eat now. If we grow more, we will have a surplus, and we can also get a big market to trade. Subai nodded with satisfaction. The current situation of the tribe is like this. The main entrance of the tribe is under construction, and the main entrance is close to the river. There is a forest on the back, and on the left side of the forest a short distance away is the farmland that is already being planted. On the parallel right side is another piece of farmland that is being reclaimed. And around these things, city walls are being built, which will form an encirclement. And a cement road has been built from the back door of the tribe to the current farmland. So tribesmen can go directly to the farmland by horse-drawn carriage. Wu, should another piece of farmland be built as a rain shelter? Yuying asked curiously. Of course, I came today just to fix their awning. Subai nodded. Wow, that sure looks spectacular, Yuying exclaimed. Ha 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 ha, this might become a landmark for our tribe. Subai smiled. Just imagine, two mushroom cloud-like things suddenly appeared in the middle of the forest, and there were things growing underneath. Isn't this eye-catching enough? Most definitely, Yuying said very confidently. Subai and Fox-Ear Girl chatted for a while, then walked aside and started to use the plant growth technique. The whole process was the same as last time. The surrounding trees began to grow branches, and then immediately interlaced together. These are all plants spontaneously intertwining. Just looking at them is a visual feast. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 1046. After Subai finished breakfast today, he was going to go to the dock to have a look. The tasks have been assigned before the rainy season has started. Now is the time to check the results of the tasks. Tap tap tap. Subai brought the fox-eared girl to the dock, and Lang put down his work and came over immediately. Wu, all the tasks you assigned before have been completed, and we are waiting for your acceptance. Long immediately reported his results before Subai could say anything. Because Wu Du came here in person, the only possibility was to accept the task, otherwise why would he come here to hang out? Take me to see it, Subai said lightly. Yes, Long nodded, turned around and started leading the way. The shipyard is divided into three parts. The main body in the middle is where the ship is being built, and the left and right sides are the rest room and the ship's experimental ground. Every ship is built. It needs to be tested to ensure that there will be no water ingress, rollover, or other problems. Tap tap tap. The small dock on the right side of the dock was opened, and the assistants immediately began to light torches. As the torches were lit one by one, the interior of the dock slowly began to come into view. In fact, there is nothing special about it. It is actually an empty house built at the junction of land and water. Because the ship is to be docked in the water for testing, there must be water in the dock. There is nothing in this dock, only a large ship parked in the middle. However, the ship is still parked on the wooden frame and has not yet been launched into the water. It looks very majestic. What a big ship! I have never seen such a big ship, Yu Ying exclaimed. The boats she made before were all 20-meter boats. Although they are not small, they are still much smaller than this 50-meter boat. Yes, this boat is the one that Subai asked the dock to build. A 50-meter long ship made by people. Subai's idea was that the Yanlong tribe must have a fleet of its own. And it was the first fleet of this primitive era. After all, people in the primitive era didn't know anything. It's a boat. If the Yanlong tribe hadn't passed on this means of transportation, then trade with other tribes would have been very simple. Sometimes taking the waterway is also very fast, and the time saved is no less than that of a hot air balloon. Moreover, taking the waterway is even safer than riding a hot air balloon. What's more, everyone can sail a boat as long as they learn it, and it can carry more people. Unlike a hot air balloon, which requires special operations and can only carry a small number of people. Woo, this is the 50-meter ship made from the drawings you gave me. I don't know how it looks like. Long was very nervous at the moment, his heart was beating very fast, and there was visible sweat on his forehead. Ever since he got the drawings, he has been researching and making this ship until now, but it took 2 or 3 months. Time. You must know that he had successfully built a ship before, and it took him so long despite his experience. It can be imagined that he was really cautious. During this period, he kept going to Yong'an building to inquire about the ship. After all, he was careful to sail the 10,000-year ship. Apart from asking about the shipbuilding, he never reported the progress of the shipbuilding, so suddenly the finished product was presented in front of Wu, and it was impossible for Long not to be nervous. It looks presentable and consistent with the look of the boat I had in mind. You did a great job on that. Subai was very satisfied inside, and even a little excited, but he had to look calm on the outside. He couldn't let his subordinates feel that he was too frivolous. He was not as old as an ordinary witch, and he was even more important. Just stop yourself from acting too childish. The boat had not been launched yet, so I was thinking that we must wait for the witch to launch the boat, so that it would have a sense of ceremony. Long's face began to smile. Although he had already built boats, and the previous boats had been praised, it was just a small boat. This big boat looked like it was no joke. If it were driving on the river, other tribes would anyone who sees it will think it is a ferocious beast. Although he built the ship himself, he is shocked when he sees it, every time he sees it. Okay, let's make arrangements to go into the water. Subai nodded. Under the escort of Yeju, he started to walk towards the ship, wanting to take a closer look at the ship's appearance. Because details determine success or failure, to put it bluntly, he still wanted to see how the details of the ship's appearance were done. For example, the joint between wooden boards, the structure of the keel, the overall structure, etc. Yes, Long nodded quickly, turned around and asked his assistants to start unloading the ship. The ship was parked on a wooden frame, and half of the wooden frame was built in the water, and the other half was built on land. Plus the wooden frame there is a degree of inclination. At that time, as long as the wooden piles under the wooden frame are removed and the inclination becomes more inclined, the boat will naturally and slowly slide into the river. The assistants are still very cautious. After disposing of the wooden piles, another group of people were guarding the outside of the shipyard and clearing out all the idlers. At present, the construction of the ship cannot be known to other people in the tribe, at least until it is fully disclosed. Crunch, crunch. Whoosh. Wow. As the wooden stakes were removed one by one, the hull slowly slid into the water, causing a lot of splashes in an instant. But it's inside the dock, so people outside can't see the agitated water splash. The assistant immediately opened the door of the dock to prepare the ship to slowly sail out. Woo, please get on the boat first. Long made a respectful gesture. After all, he only saw the appearance of the ship, not the inside of the ship. You still have to get on the ship to see it. Good. Subai took the fox-eared girl's hand and started to walk towards the boat. The moment Yu Ying's hand was touched, her heart beat faster and a little blush appeared on her face. People began to board the boat one after another, and everyone stood there looking out from the bed board. Subai stepped on the board hard to see how strong it was. He didn't want to make a squeaking sound when he stepped on it. However, the feedback he got was unexpectedly good. The board was very strong, without any inappropriate sound coming out. Wow, this place feels so spacious. You can even eat here. Yu Ying was wandering back and forth on the board of the boat. This is where the sailors work and where they eat. Subai stepped forward and walked inside. Good. Yu Ying followed happily. Please update for support and customization. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 1047. Subai led Yu Ying and others into the cabin, which was very spacious. The divisions throughout the cabin are very obvious, and all are mainly rooms. After all, it is a big ship, and it must be mainly used to carry people and cargo, so there are many rooms and the passages are relatively narrow. Woo, there are a lot of rooms here. It seems like one room can accommodate many people. Yu Ying took the lead in opening the door of a room and saw 2 beds parked inside, each with bunk beds. Of course, you can only put 2 beds. The passage is also very narrow, and there is no room for other things. Went in. Well, this ship is mainly for trade, so the rooms must be used to live in people and store goods. You can take a look at the other rooms, Subai said. He was responsible for drawing the drawings of the big ship. Of course he knew the internal structure of the cabin. Good. Yu Ying happily opened the doors of other rooms and found that some rooms did not have beds and looked relatively spacious. There were a total of 12 rooms in the 50-meter ship, half of which were used for people. The other half of the rooms are used to store cargo. The calculation is very simple. Each room can accommodate 4 people, so the ship can carry more than 20 people. Of course, this is a relatively comfortable number. In fact, a room can accommodate 8 people, that is, 2 people sleep on a bed. Calculated in this way, a ship can carry 50 people. Although this ship is large, it is mainly used for trade. So there are not many people that can be carried. The space for storing goods is so large, I feel it is bigger than a living room, Yu Ying sighed. In addition to rooms for storing goods and people, there is also a public kitchen and toilet. Let's go and take a look outside. Subai pulled the fox-eared girl out. The main reason is that the internal structure of the cabin is not very attractive, and the most important thing is that it is mainly about rooms. The outside of the cabin is relatively spacious, and the front and rear decks are both quite wide. So when not in the room, everyone can move around on the deck. And after cooking in the kitchen, all the food can be taken to the deck to eat. Woo, why do I feel like the boat is moving? Yu Ying was pleasantly surprised to feel the boat moving. Although the tribe had a 20-meter boat, Fox-Ear Girl had never felt it before. What's more, a 50-meter boat and a 20-meter boat are different concepts, and the volume is suddenly got a lot bigger. The boat has to test sail for a certain distance, so don't worry, it's very safe, Long immediately explained. The assistant was controlling the compass on the ship's board, and the direction board behind the stern would also change direction according to the operation, so the ship's forward direction could be controlled. Woo, why does the boat move forward on its own? I don't see anyone using a paddle, Yu Ying asked in a milky voice. Did you see the sail? The ship can move forward entirely because of the sail, that is, the wind drives the ship forward, Chu Feng explained simply. Yu Ying raised her head and looked at the sail. She found that the originally upright sail began to slowly sink in. It was obvious that the wind was blowing. She immediately ran to the stern of the boat and looked at the water on the water. Ripples, and then found that the ship was indeed moving forward at a constant speed, and continued to look up at the sails, and instantly understood. It turns out that this is the case. It's so amazing. Why is the witch so smart? Yu Ying was very shocked. This would have been completely unexpected for her to think about. This is simply wisdom. Do you want to say that the people in the tribe are stupid? In fact, the people in the tribe are not stupid, but they can't think of this. Knowledge. You will know if you read more books, and you will understand if you study more slowly in the future. In fact, these are very normal phenomena, as long as you observe more in your daily life. Subai smiled faintly. In fact, all this knowledge is inspired by daily life. For example, the airplanes we live in today are obtained by flying birds, and boats are nothing more than fish, etc. I will definitely take it very seriously. Yu Ying nodded seriously. Wow. The boat slowly sailed on the river and gradually left the side of the Yanlong tribe. Woo, we can no longer see the tribe, it feels so fast. Yu Ying sighed. Looking back from the stern of the boat, she couldn't see anything, only a long river. The speed of the boat is also very fast, so we can usually pass the boat when going to other tribes. Subai put his hands behind his back and continued, in this way, our trade with other tribes can be carried out. What a great experience. Yu Ying kept shaking her pink foxtail. How long does it take to build such a big ship? Subai asked. He planned to build a fleet, but before that he must know the construction period of the big ship. Previously, it only took 2 or 3 months because of research and trial and error. Long lowered his head and counted on his fingers, then raised his head and said, if we want to make a new ship now, I think it will take a month. He looks serious now. As long as he does it seriously every day, a month will be enough. Okay, then you can continue building ships with your assistants. When the ice and snow ends, I need a fleet of 5 large ships. Can I do it? Subai asked. Lang immediately began to calculate the time until the big ice and snow, and how long the big ice and snow would last. He instantly raised his head and nodded violently, and said excitedly, it's a witch, the 5 big ships will definitely be able to get there after the big ice and snow ends. Long calculated the time and found that it was more than enough time. If things go well, there would even be some time left. By the way, 2 ships need to be built to be fully manned, and the remaining 3 ships need to be built to carry cargo. Just leave a room for people to watch and control the ship. Subai thought about it seriously and continued to warn, this is a complete fleet, because we need to transport the goods of our tribe, can it be done? He didn't need to give any drawings. Just let him draw inferences. Anyway, it was just a matter of changing the internal structure of the cabin. Long thought about the internal structure of the cabin seriously and started to analyze whether it was feasible. He thought for a while, will raise his head and respond, there shouldn't be any problem, I will try my best. As before, if you have anything you don't understand, you can ask me, Subai ordered. Yes, which, Long responded excitedly. He couldn't calm down for a long time, mainly because the big boat he built was already sailing on the river. In addition, he had another mission soon, so it would be false to not be excited. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 1048. The big boat moved slowly on the river, and white ripples appeared on the river. In addition, it is the morning when the sun is at its best, and the sunlight looks sparkling when reflected on the water. Not to mention, it looks quite artistic like this. Yu Ying rested her hands on the fence and enjoyed the sunshine. The main reason is that the rainy season lasts too long, and the sunshine now is particularly precious. She stretched her body with satisfaction and asked, what kind of deal will our tribe do with other tribes then? Other tribes don't seem to have any good things. Although Fox-eared Girl has been in the Yanlong tribe for a long time, her previous job the targets are all elderly elders. She could always hear the elders discussing the affairs of other tribes. In her memory, there were no good things from other tribes. Silly girl, we don't necessarily need to have good things from other tribes before we can trade with them, as long as other tribes have what our tribe needs. Subai pushed the other party's wind-blown hair behind his ears. Although our tribe has developed very well, there are still many things that are not the best, and our tribe still lacks many things. If other tribes happen to have what we want, wouldn't this be better? Although the Yanlong tribe is developing very well, he does not feel very satisfied. On the contrary, he also wants to make the tribe better. Under this premise, more things are definitely needed to support the development of the tribe. Just rely on what the system gives you when you check in every day is not enough, because no one knows what the system will give. Although the system has produced very good crops such as rice, wheat, and potatoes, it was also before. The recent system has not been available for a long time. The good things that are given out are just insignificant things. For example, a small mirror, a small comb, or a 4-piece bed set, etc., are all dispensable things. So you can no longer wait for the system to give you something every day. Good things, not to mention there are a lot of good things in this continent. Since there is no way to get other tribes to take the initiative to come to the door, the Yanlong tribe can come to the door in person. Who allows the tribe to have a big ship? It turns out that is the case, but our fleet cannot move forward during the period of heavy ice and snow, so we should not be able to go to other tribes this year, Yu Ying murmured. Yes, now we have one big ship, so it is definitely not enough. Su Bai nodded gently, turned around and asked, when do you plan to go back to the Sea Fish tribe, or are you planning to stay here in the near future? Ah! Coco was suddenly stunned by such a question. After reacting, he said, I can go back to the tribe anytime. If the wizard doesn't need me anymore, I can go back tomorrow. The blonde girl has lived in the Yanlong tribe for a long time, mainly because she has been studying the problem of banknotes. Now that the problem of banknotes has been solved and received a lot of promotion, it is indeed time for her to go back to her own place. Tribe. Although Coco has already joined the Yanlong tribe, the Haiu tribe is still developing. As a native member of the tribe, she naturally has to go back and keep an eye on it. Silly girl, I don't mean to drive you away, I just want to see if you want to go back. If you don't want to go back, you can stay here. Subai smiled heartily. Looking at the other party's astonished eyes, he knew that she had misunderstood. KK shook her head gently and said lightly, I can't be a witch. I have been away from the Haiu tribe for a long time, although there have always been people over there. Information, but I still want to go back and take a look. The Yanlong tribe now has messenger birds, so it is not difficult to convey messages. Of course, Coco definitely prefers the Yanlong tribe. After all, the living environment here is very good. Whether it is travel, food, drink, or clothing, it is very good. Yes, there is no way to compare with the Sea Fish tribe. But even so, the blonde girl is from the Sea Fish tribe, so she must be worried about them. Aren't the flying fish and rain beasts unable to fly when it's not the rainy season? So you go back by boat and dock the boat at the Sea Fish tribe. Su Bai also put his hands on the fence and continued, your tribe develops a lot of seafood. As long as you insist on this, your tribe will get better and better. No, witches should be our tribe. Coco's golden eyes blinked very seriously. Originally, the Haiu tribe is now affiliated with the Yanlong tribe, which is a small tribe under the Yanlong tribe. There are many big tribes like this, and they also have many small tribes. There is no other reason, because they often attack small tribes. Once the small tribe is destroyed, they will completely take over the small tribe. The big tribe is not willing to give up its position, not to mention the warriors and chiefs of the small tribe. They were all killed, and it was very convenient to manage such a tribe. Yes, it's our tribe. Subai smiled heartily. He knew that the Haiu tribe was still accepting this fact, but he believed that given time, the other party would definitely look up to the Yanlong tribe. But before that, Subai must ensure the development of the Haiyu tribe. The other party will definitely not be able to develop well, so the Yanlong tribe will have to push them. By the way, Wu, you just asked me to take a boat back. Are they those boats from before? Coco asked. The blonde girl knew that the shipyard had been building ships, that is, the 20-meter ships that had been built before. Keek was completely unaware of the 50-meter ship she was riding on now. Of course, she didn't know either. Maybe he took a big ship back to the sea fish tribe. After all, this big ship is still a secret at this stage. Even the Yanlong tribe has kept it a secret, let alone the sea fish tribe. I asked Long to make a batch of small boats before. These boats are very durable and suitable for you to use on the beach. Su Bai put his hands behind his back and continued, it will be more convenient for you when you go to sea to work. After all, the boat is easy to control. When the big ship sailed for a certain distance, he specifically asked Leng about the number of those small boats. There are currently 10 small boats, plus the 2 that were built before. Now the Yanlong tribe there are a total of 12 boats, all 20 meters long. But doesn't the Yanlong tribe need a boat? Coco said doubtfully. It is enough for the Yanlong tribe to have this one ship. Use this ship to build its reputation first, and wait until next year to have more big ships, Subai said lightly. Now it is indeed enough to have such a big ship. All you need to do is go around a few nearby tribes. In this way, people from other tribes will continue to pass on the information. Yes, Keek nodded, vaguely understanding. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 1049. The peak eagle flaps its huge wings and flies in the sky with Yanhua and Shaylin on its back. It was already the 3rd day since they set out, and they were heading towards the hunting ground. I don't know how long it will take, Shalan innocently blinked her blue eyes. It will probably take another day. Judging from Ah Brown's flying speed, it is probably about this time, Yanhua speculated. If there is one more day, that's about it. It won't be too long before we get out, Shalan nodded thoughtfully. It took more than 5 days to go to the hunting ground with a hot air balloon. The flying speed of the ferocious beast must be faster than the hot air balloon. Calculating this way, there is indeed 1 day left. Almost, although you no longer have to walk on the ground, flying in the sky will be tiring. In addition, Feng Ying can only carry 2 people, and the other 2 people still have to take a hot air balloon. That is, by Si and you, they now we are left behind, and we are still some distance away from the cat-eared girl. Originally, everyone was keeping they fly at the same time, but the eagle always flies faster involuntarily. After all, it has grown to a very large size now, and its flying speed has naturally increased accordingly. He would always fly forward a long distance at every turn, and would slow down again after being reminded. It will still get very tiring over time, so everyone agreed in advance that Feng Ying and Yanhua would fly forward for a short distance first. It doesn't matter if you arrive at the hunting ground early, just treat it as exploring the road ahead. But if the hot air balloon that Bai Si and the 2 were riding slowly followed up, it would be safer. Anyway, Bai Si and the others haven't arrived yet, why don't we look for flying ferocious beasts first? Yanhua asked. The horned lady just felt that she was too bored now. Anyway, she came out with a mission this time. Although she hasn't arrived at the hunting ground yet, she can still carry out the mission on the road. Anyway, as long as she catches the flying ferocity, as long as the beast is fine, you don't need to be too constrained by where you caught it. I thought so too, but I didn't see any large ferocious beasts along the way, so I'm afraid it was a bit difficult. Shalan scanned the surrounding sky. She found that there were no flying birds around. They were the only ones in the sky as far as the eye could see. It's really strange. Even if we don't go to the hunting ground, there shouldn't be no ferocious beasts in the sky. Even if there are no ferocious beasts, we don't even see any ferocious beasts, Yanhua muttered. Comma. The peak eagle made a clear cry at this time, as if to explain the reason he knew. Shalan rolled her blue eyes and speculated, is it because of Brown? That's why there aren't any flying birds around us. You must know that the peak eagle is very large, and its wings are long and full. It's 10 meters. The current peak eagle's body shape looks like a car, and its wings are spread very long, which really makes people feel oppressive. Yes. There is a possibility that Brown is a ferocious beast after all, and it will definitely frighten those flying birds. Yanhua suddenly realized, could it be that, are we going to land and search? I'm afraid it will be difficult to find this way. We can only talk about it after we go to the hunting ground. After all, there are more ferocious beasts there, so we will have more choices. Shalan flicked the cat's tail subconsciously. What's more, Wu has already said that the ferocious beast we recovered must be able to carry a lot of people. A ferocious beast of Brown's size should not be able to carry it. Actually, Brown is just not old enough yet. He can only be regarded as a baby bird now, so he can only carry 2 people. I'm afraid this is a bit difficult. We can't even deal with a ferocious beast of Brown's size, let alone one even bigger than it. Only then did Yanhua deeply understand the seriousness of this mission, and she might even get injured. It was also at this time that Niojiao Niang understood why Wu tried so hard not to let her go, because the risk factor was too high. But she had no choice but to. Subai couldn't defeat Yanhua at all, so he just gave her a few more witch dominoes. I have an idea, but it's just a bit more risky. Do you want to try it? Shalan asked. The cat-eared girl's face looked very serious now. Obviously, that method was really dangerous. As long as you can complete the task assigned by the witch, you have to try any method. Yanhua is a person who likes taking risks. How could she have any reason to refuse? I knew you wouldn't refuse. Even when we arrive at the hunting ground, we still choose in the sky. We definitely can't find it on the ground. Before Lan could wait for the other party to speak, he continued, we can fly above a ferocious beast that is bigger than Brown, and then we jump on that ferocious beast, and then quickly take out the witch dominoes. What do you think? How about it? It sounds really risky, but I think it's worth a try, Yanhua agreed without even thinking about it. This, Shalan was immediately confused by the other party. She originally thought that the other party would say something. But she never expected that the other party agreed very directly. She was ready to explain the battle plan in detail, but she was a little stunned by this. What's wrong? Yanhua had no idea that her straightforwardness had caused the other party to fall into a state of confusion. No, it's nothing, then we will do this, but the premise is that our own safety must be guaranteed. Shaz's blue eyes were full of seriousness. Wu said, we can't complete the task just to complete it. The most important thing is our personal safety, so you have to listen to my judgment later. The cat-eared girl doesn't expect the other party to make good judgments. She has to rely on herself anyway. Shalan knows clearly that if she doesn't give the other party a signal, she will definitely jump at the sight of the ferocious beast, and there will definitely not be any hesitation. We have been together for so long, since childhood. It is impossible for the cat-eared girl not to know that she must shoulder the heavy responsibility of maintaining everyone's safety. Don't worry, I will listen to you in everything. As long as you give me the signal, I will jump right away. Yanhua showed her white teeth and smiled. The horned lady knew that the cat-eared lady would definitely take care of her because she trusted her. For the first time, look at mine first, and then you can dance after I demonstrate it to you. Shalan warned. No, I am more agile than you, so I must do this. Yanhua refused without thinking. The horned lady's skills are the best among the group of totem warriors awakened this year. I understand, it's not here yet anyway, Let's discuss the details first. Chalan compromised. Anyway, we haven't arrived at the hunting ground yet, so there's no point in fighting over who jumps first. Please update for support and customization. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 1050. Sudbai was waiting for someone after breakfast. He had important things to arrange today. After Yanjiao received the order, he immediately came to Yong'an building and put down all the work at hand. As soon as he entered the second floor, he bowed respectfully and asked Wu Wu, "Is there anything you want me to do?" Yanjiao knew that there must be something important to arrange before calling him, usually for small things. "We'll ask the fox-eared lady to pass on the message. Or just let others do it directly, and it's not as good as asking yourself to come to Yong'an building in person. You should know that our tribe has that big ship, and I am here to find you about that big ship," Sudbai said. "Which, please tell me, I wonder what happened to that big ship?" Yanjiao asked curiously. He has been busy with a lot of things recently, and he has to keep an eye on all aspects of the entire tribe. Now the chief has to do many more things than before, which means he has to be busy from morning to night all day long. Do you have any suitable candidates to recommend? You need to be familiar with the roots of the surrounding tribes. Sudbai asked. Yanjiao blinked his eyes in confusion and asked, "Wu wants people to go to other tribes in that big boat, right?" "That's right, although our Yanlong tribe's reputation has gradually spread, there are still many people who don't know about it." Sudbai sat up straight and continued, "There are even people who don't know how to get to our tribe. This is when our big ship comes in handy. Does the witch want to bring people from other tribes to our tribe?" Although the big ship was really big, it couldn't carry many people. Yanjiao thought seriously for a moment and continued, "What's more, people from other tribes will not follow us casually. I'm afraid this task will be very difficult. Then I will not take the initiative to bring people to the Yanlong tribe. What I want is to let others take the initiative to come to our tribe," Sudbai said. "So what did Wu ask people who were familiar with the surrounding tribes to take the big ship to do?" Yanjiao asked. "Of course it was for business, otherwise what else could we do?" Sudbai spread his hands. Yanjiao was stunned and asked curiously, "Which? I don't understand what you mean." "That big ship has enough storage space and enough living space. We can take the goods out and sell them." "What do you think?" Sudbai asked. "I see, I understand. What Wu means is that we take the goods directly to other tribes, so that we can open up our reputation and attract people from other tribes to come to our tribe, right? The fact that Yanjiao can take the position of chief means that he has strength, and his brain is naturally very bright. That's it? Since others can't come, then just our people can go. It's not like we can't go anyway." Sudbai picked up the teacup and took a sip. "What's more, it won't take us much time to go to other tribes. Of course we should do something that is so beneficial to us. What needs to be done must be done, Wu, such a good thing must really be done." Yanjiao nodded excitedly. Of course he knew the benefits of doing this. The biggest benefit was to increase the popularity of the Yanlong tribe. The major factories in the tribe have been open for a long time, and the longer they are open, the more the faster workers work. Once the speed of making things increases, goods will accumulate. Every year there is a rainy season and heavy ice and snow, which greatly delays the digestion of goods. Wait until these two after the season has passed, the tribes that come are just those few tribes. After all, it's just the same tribes that come back and forth, and the things they can digest are limited, and sometimes some goods are not consumables at all. Once you buy them once, they will be gone. It is difficult to buy a second time in a short period of time. It is definitely not possible to just sit back and have nothing. The best choice is to take the initiative to come to the door. In the past, there was no good transportation, and it was simply unrealistic to go to other tribes on foot. Not yet, no matter how much time it takes, the amount of goods that can be brought there is also very limited. Moreover, there will be great dangers on the way to the tribe, let alone protecting the goods, and whether personal safety can be guaranteed. One question. The waterway is the best choice. Although taking a boat is not particularly safe, you can still take precautions in advance. If you do the work in advance, you don't have to worry. What's more, the speed of progress is also very fast, so it is much faster than walking in the forest. The most important thing is that the boat is very large and has a wide internal capacity, so it can carry a large amount of goods to other tribes. So do you have any recommendations? Subai asked. Asking Yanjiao about suitable candidates in the tribe is the wisest choice. There is no one in the tribe that he doesn't know. It can only be said that he knows or does not understand, and what Subai wants is a comparison of business abilities. Strong person. Yes, there happens to be a suitable candidate. I asked him to manage the big market before, and he did an excellent job indeed. Yanjiao looked very excited. He grew up with me, but he didn't have the opportunity to become a totem warrior. I believe he can definitely represent our tribe to other tribes. Who? Subai asked. His name is Hushi, he is about 30 years old than me, and he is very good at management. The big market appears to be very orderly under his management. Yan Jiao seemed to be very proud. For some reason he also has a daughter. Both of them can manage the big market very well, and they are also two of the fastest in learning Chinese characters. The reason why he is proud is that he recommended the right person and can help him share some troubles. Do father and daughter manage a big market together? How come I haven't heard of this guy before? Subai asked. But he didn't even know that there were many outstanding people in the tribe. For example, the heads of various factories and the heads of food courts. All of these candidates were selected by the chief. Subai just he is responsible for giving some management plans and management standards. As for the selection of personnel, he will not ask. Oh, I thought these were all trivial matters, and I would have someone report them to the witch in the future. Yan Jiao said immediately. It's okay, you can just control these things. I'm just curious. Su Bai shook his head and asked, then do you think he is qualified for this task? It's definitely possible for Wu, he is definitely qualified enough. Yan Jiao responded without hesitation. Okay, then bring him over and let me see it. I want to see it for myself, Subai ordered. No problem, Yan Jiao nodded. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 1051. Half an hour later, Yan Jiao brought Hushi to Yong'an building. Wu, I heard that you have a mission for me. Hushi immediately bowed respectfully. He was busy just now, but he immediately stopped what he was doing as soon as he heard the witch's lingering light. Well, are you familiar with the surrounding tribes? Subai asked. I am very familiar with them. I know all the tribes surrounding the Yanlong tribe, and I can also know the roads. Hushi nodded without hesitation. When I was a child, I often went to various tribes with my father, so I still remember them all. He was his father's key training target when he was a child, so he has been taken out since he was a child. However, people's talents are limited, and Hushi has no way to become a totem warrior. But his childhood experience also gave him a different experience, otherwise I wouldn't be a manager of a big market now. I want you to go to several other tribes to do business for our tribe. What do you think? Subai asked. Hushi was stunned, and it took him a while to react and asked Wu, what about the big market? If I leave once, I won't be able to come back for 2 or 3 months. He deeply knows the distance between the Yanlong tribe and other tribes, not to mention that there are several tribes. It takes a lot of time to go back and forth like this. This time is not as short as 1 or 2 weeks, it is at least 2 or 3 months. Bulletin, it has been very normal for most of the year. It doesn't take so much time. You can come back in about 10 days, Sudbai said lightly. He knew that the other party must have misunderstood, because he wanted to move forward in the forest. 10 days. Wu, I'm afraid this time is a bit short, and at most I can only go to one tribe, who she said puzzledly. I asked you to take a boat to other tribes. Will this save more time? Sudbai asked. Take a boat? Wu, I don't know how to control that thing called a boat, not to mention that I have never actually touched it, so I can't help it. She shook his head repeatedly and couldn't help but take a step back. He felt that this method was not a good one. You don't need to control the ship. There are people who specialize in driving the ship. You only need to be responsible for taking care of the goods and selling the goods after you have arrived at other tribes. Sudbai sat straight up, his eyes very serious. After you have the boat, you can go to a few more tribes, and it won't take long to come back. Taking a boat to sell goods to other tribes is indeed a good way, but if you take a boat, you will miss a lot of tribes. She immediately breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he doesn't go to other tribes on foot, it's fine as long as he can drive the boat by himself. I know that many tribes are not located near the river. You only need to go to the tribe near the river. The other tribes do not matter. Sudbai took a cup of tea and took a sip, and continued, as for other tribes, there will be people doing publicity for us, so there is no need to worry for the time being. Understand, Wu, if this is the case and I can go, I will definitely be optimistic about those goods and bring back good profits for our tribe, she immediately responded. So when can you leave? Sudbai asked. We can leave tomorrow and I have enough time to prepare today. She thought seriously for a moment. As long as Wu arranges for me to be protected by totem warriors, I will take care of the rest. After all, he is the manager of the big market. If he can't handle this properly, he is indeed not a suitable candidate. Very good, what you want is your words. The chief of the totem warriors will help you get it done. As for the goods, what goods do you plan to bring? Sudbai asked. He also liked the other person's cheerfulness and sense of responsibility very much. Such people can get twice the result with half the effort. The most important thing is to bring wine, followed by cloth, paper, cabbage, fruit, etc. As long as I can bring it, I will almost always bring some. She thought very seriously and continued, but I will bring everything evenly. I know that Wu's plan this time is to open up the reputation of our Yanlong tribe, so I will bring some things to let other tribes know enough. Very smart, you have the same idea as me. You should bring everything and do it to the extreme, so that people from other tribes will be more curious about our tribe. Sudbai nodded with satisfaction and added, and the portions of each tribe must be controlled. Don't give them as much as they want. This is called hunger marketing. Hunger marketing, she said he didn't understand this vocabulary at all. The purpose is to let them know that there are very few of these things, and if they don't grab them, they will be gone soon. Such a model will naturally attract a lot of people to flock to it. Sudbai smiled faintly and continued, of course, the premise is that the quality of the goods is good, otherwise it will be useless no matter how hard you market. This is a very real problem. If your product is very poor, no matter how much you make, no one will want it, let alone hunger marketing. I understand what Wu means, but the ship we are traveling on is not big, so we may not be able to carry a lot of things at once. I will take care of it when the time comes, she said. Don't worry, it will no longer be the small boat before. The previous boat will be bigger than the previous one, enough for you to put a lot of cargo. Sudbai leaned back on the chair and continued to order. The chief will take him to the dock to have a look. First, he will familiarize himself with the storage capacity, and then see how much cargo he needs to bring. Clear, Yan Jiao responded. Big ship? Going out in a big boat, she was stunned, but woo, doesn't it matter if that big ship is discovered by people from other tribes? He felt that it would be a big deal for a small boat like the one before to be discovered, let alone a boat bigger than the previous one. It doesn't matter at all, just let people from other tribes see it, otherwise this trip will be meaningless. Subai couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth slightly. That big ship is the signature of our Yanlong tribe. With a big ship, I don't believe that other tribes are not interested in us. Oh, I know, this method is really great. She was so excited that he stuttered a little. As for safety issues, don't worry, Yan Jiao will help you make arrangements, so you can just do business with peace of mind, Subai comforted. Yes, I remember everything, woo-hoo, she responded respectfully. Don't worry, I'll help you. Yan Jiao put his hand on the opponent's shoulder. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 1052. Subai was studying the new plants sent from the farmland, saying they had never been seen before. People from primitive tribes have never seen plants, and they are indeed worth seeing. Woo, what is this plant called? Yu Ying tilted her neck curiously. It looks very familiar, wait until I take another look, Subai observed carefully. The leaves look spiky and quite tall, which is really strange. Yu Ying couldn't help but play with it. By the way, I know what this plant is called. In my hometown, this plant is called koji. Subai obviously looked very excited and said, this plant is a major discovery and is very helpful to the development of our tribe. Yu Ying looked very puzzled and asked what is jikyuko? I only know about distiller's yeast. Can this plant be used to make distiller's yeast? The reason why Fox Ear Lady knows about jikyuko is because Subai prescribed this kind of thing from the system last time. Of course, Yu Ying doesn't know the system, she just knows that Subai uses jikyuko to make wine, so she is still very familiar with this vocabulary. Remember? After all, this unfamiliar word produced wine, and wine helped the development of the Yanlong tribe a lot. That's right, I happen to be running out of koji for the brewery, so this just came in handy, Subai said excitedly. He was still struggling at the time, that is, what to do when the wine yeast runs out. Although there is a lot of wine in the warehouse now, if you don't continue to produce it, the wine will eventually be sold out. That day, I happened to see the distiller's yeast, and I happened to be able to use it to make distiller's yeast. Woo, is it possible to brew wine just by putting the koji grass directly into the wheat? Yu Ying asked innocently. Ha 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 ha, silly girl, of course this is not the case. We need to use distiller's yeast to make distiller's yeast so that we can make wine. Subai laughed heartily. Woo, what do I need to prepare? Yu Ying waved her pink foxtail expectantly. Bring me some glassware, some rice flour and wheat straw, Subai said lightly. He planned to make the wine koji himself. It would be better if it could succeed, so that he wouldn't have to put his expectations on the system every day. Because no one knows what will be produced when the system signs in tomorrow, although before I've been lucky enough to get wine koji several times, but it's not always what you want. Yes, Yu Ying immediately turned around and ran to prepare the materials. 10 minutes later, the fox-eared lady had prepared all the materials, and then stood aside obediently and watched. Subai took out a wooden basin and put a leaf of the koji. Pick out the pieces and the flowers that bloom on them. Woo, can't I use the whole pill? Yu Ying also helped to pick leaves. Only leaves and flowers are needed, nothing else is needed, Subai smiled and said. Yes, I'm here to help. Yu Ying's hands and feet immediately got up. In half an hour, the wooden basin was filled with leaves and flowers of distiller's yeast, which looked green. Woo, what should we do next? Do you want to steam all these leaves? Yu Ying only thought about the process of cooking. No, mash all these leaves and flowers. The more rotten they are, the better. Subai took the wood and started pounding it. Good. Yu Ying also immediately took action. In 3 strokes, 5 divided by 2, the entire wooden basin of koji grass was smashed. However, simply smashing it is not enough, it must be made very dense. So, the two of them always started working next to the wooden basin. When one hand got tired, they would switch to the other hand. Of course, Ying was the only one who kept changing hands frequently. Subai did not feel tired. On the contrary, he kept working harder and harder. After another half an hour, the whole tub of distiller's yeast was pounded very densely, and it looked like a puddle of mud. Woo, is this okay? It smells weird. Ying's white hands were dyed green by the juice of the grass. Beads of sweat began to flow from the fox-eared girl's delicate face, and a few bangs were also dyed wet. Not yet, didn't I ask you to get rice noodles? Pour directly in and continue stirring. Subai started to operate with a smile. Ying wanted to start helping, but was stopped directly. You can go rest first, or just watch from the side. How much sweat do you sweat? Subai said gently. After all, this is a physical job, and girls will still be a little tired if they do it. After all, there were no advanced tools in the primitive era, and the only way to pound the distiller's yeast was manually. Subai thought of this. I started to make drawings in my mind, thinking about making some tools that can replace human labor. Not to mention fully automatic, semi-automatic can also make people feel very relaxed. Then I'll just watch from the side. Ying suddenly felt warm in her heart. Subai poured the rice flour into the wooden basin and started to stir. The proportions of the two were almost the same. Since the koji grass has a lot of juice after being smashed, it is not difficult to stir. The two can also be fully integrated together. It really looks like making noodles. Soon, the white rice flour is dyed green, and a big lump of dough is placed in the wooden basin. Woo, it's such a big lump. Is this called distiller's yeast? Ying said in surprise. Why did she feel that it was almost the same as her usual cooking? She usually kneaded the dough like this, then pressed the dough with a rolling pin and cut it into strips. Almost, but we need to divide this big lump of dough into small balls. Subai started to work after saying that. Since Ying's hands had rested enough, and this process didn't require too much physical effort, she immediately started to help knead the dough. After another half an hour, a big lump came out. The dough was divided into hundreds of small pieces, and was kneaded into very round shapes. That's it for now, it really looks like the same thing. Subai clapped his hands with satisfaction. Woo, can this be used directly to make wine? Should I ask the bartender to pick it up? Ying asked curiously. It's not completely done yet, we still have to wait for it to ferment, which will take about 48 hours. Subai washed everything on his hands. I know about fermentation. Fermentation is really a magical thing. Many things need to be fermented. Ying suddenly remembered a lot of things she had learned before. Many of them involved the process of fermentation. Let's wait for 48 hours and see if it succeeds. Subai smiled and said. I'll take good care of these. Ying happily shook her pink fox tail. Please update for support and customization. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 1053. The sun was shining brightly, and Subai stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window and enjoyed the sunlight reflected in it. Since it has been raining for a long time, now when I stand in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows and look out, I can see every household taking out their belongings to dry. It's not that these things are soaked in water during the rainy season. Nowadays, most people live in cement houses. The waterproofness is still very good, and it is impossible for things placed in the room to get wet. However, there is still a feeling of moisture, and it always feels like it is not very dry to the touch, and there is also a musty smell. The best option is to dry it in the sun. Woo, What are you looking at? Yu Ying came over waving her pink fox tail. Everything in Yong'an building has been dried long ago. There is no need for the fox-eared girl to do this kind of thing now. The maids under her will do it well. Yu Ying is now he led many young maids, all of whom studied in Yong'an building. Nothing, just wanted to relax for a while. After Subai finished speaking, he stretched out his hands. He was very satisfied with everything he saw in the Yanlong tribe now. It was completely different from the tribe he first came to. Wu, I wonder if Sister Ahua and the others can complete their mission. Yu Ying is still a little worried. Don't worry, I have given them enough witch dominoes, and I have repeatedly warned them that this time, personal safety is the main priority, and the mission is secondary. Subai took the fox-eared lady's hand and said gently, so you don't have to worry too much. How is the tribe's recent situation? Everything is going well. Uncle Hushi has already set off with the caravan, and Uncle Kangxi is also managing the training of the soldiers. Because of Sister Ahua's departure, the selection of soldiers has also been handed over to Uncle Kangxi. Yu Ying counted on her fingers and continued. Aunt Chahong has also been assigning tasks to the totem warriors recently. The furry children are also studying hard, and a large number of crops are being planted in the farmland. Fox-eared girl's memory is not as good as Shaiyan's, so she talked for a long time during the report. In fact, she didn't need to remember these things, because they were none of her business. Yu Ying only needs to be responsible for the affairs of Yong'an building every day. As for other things, she just takes care of them incidentally. Let's develop steadily like this. In 2 years' time our tribe will become a very powerful tribe, Subai said lightly. He was still very satisfied with the current development speed. It could have been faster, but he wanted stability. Subai didn't want to be fast just because it was fast. This would easily lead to many problems later. Yes. If the foundation you laid in front is not strong enough, anything behind you will cause you to collapse. This is similar to the principle of building a house, that is, the foundation must be strong. Wu, I have something I'm worried about right now. I don't know if I should talk about it. Yu Ying looked sad. What's up? Subai asked. It's just that I'm more worried about the dark scorpion tribe. After Yu Ying said that, her pink fox ears drooped. The fox-eared girl always remembers this, that is, they are now enemies of the largest evil tribe in this continent. There is no need to worry about this matter. Our tribe has been making preparations, so there is no need to feel any pressure. Subai rubbed the fox-eared girl's head and continued, if the soldiers come to block it, if the water comes and the soil comes to cover it, our tribe will always get through it. Really? Does our tribe have any countermeasures prepared now? Yu Ying asked curiously. Remember our tribe's manual rifle? It is now in mass production. With the iron ore, mass production is not a problem at all. Subai crossed his arms in front of his chest and continued, as you know, there is also gunpowder. A lot of explosive bags have been made now. This is also one of our tribe's trump cards. Really? If the number of those weapons is really large, then we will indeed be more confident. Yu Ying nodded thoughtfully. The experiment scene of these two weapons was still vivid in Fox-ear Girl's mind. The damage was really very high. Even the totem warrior couldn't withstand it. In this way, it can fill the gap. The number of totem warriors of the Yanlong tribe is not as large as the number of totem warriors of the Dark Scorpion tribe. Not to mention we still have recurve bows, right? Even if their totem warriors themselves are very strong, the recurve bow is also very powerful and can help us consume them very well. Subai's black eyes showed sharpness. What's more, under the attack of explosive packs and manual rifles, I don't believe how many of their totem warriors can survive. Even if they survive, it is not a big threat to us, because they must have been injured, so our recurve bow can hurt them, Yu Ying immediately added. Fox-eared lady's tone was relatively reassuring, and she no longer looked very worried. Exactly, so are you still worried now? Now the Yanlong tribe is just waiting for them to come, Subai said calmly. He was really not in a hurry at all. On the contrary, he was still looking forward to it. There is no other reason, because after defeating this evil tribe, the Yanlong tribe can develop with more peace of mind. At the same time, Yanlong, the reputation of the tribe will also spread further, and other tribes will follow one after another, so that the tribe can develop faster. In addition, the manpower problem that Subai is most worried about can also be solved, from a medium-sized tribe to a large tribe. The tribe doesn't have to worry about it at all. I wasn't worried at all, and the wizard seemed very calm. Yu Ying put her hands behind her and kept moving her cute little feet back and forth, but I don't know when their people will come over. I'm afraid it will be soon, maybe people are already on the way. Subai frowned slightly. He knew that the big tribes would collect information faster than other tribes, and the big tribes would definitely send a steady stream of people to test. Although Yeju deceived those two people with his acting last time, but after all, this is only temporary. If the person who comes next time is someone else, as long as they are smarter, they will be able to see the difference. So it is only a matter of time before the secret is revealed, and the war between the two tribes is also a matter of time. But Subai has already made preparations, which is to clear out all the surrounding tribes related to the Dark Scorpion tribe. In this way, the Yanlong tribe will not have to worry about a war of attrition and can use all its force to deal with the Dark Scorpion tribe. The tribe is up. Patrols need to be stepped up. Yu Ying bit her lower lip gently. Yes, we are waiting for their arrival. Subai raised the corners of his mouth slightly. Please update for support and customization. I was a village chief in a primitive society. Author, Big White Monster. Chapter 1054. Yanhua and others were resting in a cave at the moment. They had all arrived at the hunting ground. At this moment, we are formulating a battle plan in the cave. Because everyone has a very heavy task this time, we must be very cautious. Should we separate? Bias I asked. Monkey Ear Girl felt that it would be more efficient for everyone to separate, so that they could complete the task faster. Because now they have many tasks, such as looking for special plants, looking for small animals that can be kept in captivity, etc. Look for special animals. And finally, look for large animals that can fly. This is the most important task. I also suggest that it is better to search separately. Shalan nodded. In this case, let's search separately, so the probability of finding it will be higher, but the only thing I worry about is safety. Yu's face looks very serious. This is not playing house. You must know that everyone is in the hunting ground now. There are all kinds of ferocious beasts in the hunting ground, and you may even encounter very cruel ferocious beasts. There will always be dangers, but if you don't take risks, you will never complete the mission. Yanhua also looked determined and continued, what's more, we came prepared this time and are not as under-equipped as before, so don't worry too much. I agree with Sister Ahua. If you don't take risks, you will never succeed, so you still have to give it a try. I nodded repeatedly. Butterfly Girl originally admired the Horned Girl very much, but now she agrees even more with this idea. I also agree with this decision. Let's search separately, and then we will come back to the cave to meet up when it gets dark. Shat. Lan twitched her cat ears. No matter whether we have any clues or not, we must go back to the cave when it gets dark. Don't let others worry. So be it. Anyway, the witch didn't give us a certain amount of time, at least we still have enough time to search. Yu shook her silver white hair. So while it's still dark, let's go out and search first. Yanhua stood up energetically and asked, by the way, have you had a good rest? Do you want to take another break? There is no need to rest at all. If a totem warrior feels tired because of this kind of thing, then what kind of warrior is he? Ayer has a feeling that there are no tigers in the mountains and the monkey is the king. To be precise, he should see his idol here, so he really wants to show it. Ha ha ha, it's best that this is the case. You were the one who kept calling me tired before, Shalan joked. Puchi, Puchi. I don't care about you anymore, I have to be the first one to find you. Ai murmured her cute little mouth, flapped her butterfly wings and flew out of the cave. This kid runs really fast. Yanhua also walked out of the cave immediately. The other girls followed behind and started to go down the mountain along the path next to the cave. The time now should be considered noon, so everyone has enough time. Let's do this. I'll look for it in the deeper place in front, and then you can look to the left and right, Yanhua suggested. Good. Shalan and others also chose the direction they liked and walked over. Tap tap tap. Yanhua took out her long whip and was always ready, and then she took every step very carefully. Because the dense virgin forest is full of dangers, you must be careful every step you take. No one knows what creature will step on and be bitten by it. If it is a non-venomous creature, forget it. If it is poisonous, you will not be able to save your life without amputating your limbs. Let's look for plants first. Wu drew several drawings for me, Yanhua said while taking out the drawings from her bag. At this time, Niujiao Niang was a little envious of Shalan, because the other party's memory was very, very good, and she could remember it very clearly without looking at the drawings all the time. She didn't. There is a solution. You must always take the drawings out and compare them to know if it is what you are looking for. By the way, find some animals that you can raise, preferably those that are edible. Yanhua murmured to herself and kept repeating what Subai said, her red eyes scanning the surroundings. She could be said to be under a lot of pressure now, because she had to pay attention to her surroundings while looking for things, and no one knew what was going to happen next. A man-eating ferocious beast will appear from nowhere in a second. This is neither that nor that. This is a bit similar but definitely not. This is exactly the same, but the color is different. Yanhua is like a student who is studying, taking a look at this, then picking up that and smelling it, and then throw it away immediately if he feels it is not right. In addition to plants, she also looked at animals. She caught a lot of small animals, but they were all inedible. It looks very ferocious on the outside, let alone raising it in captivity and eating it. I'm afraid no one would even dare to raise it. Oh my God, I hit a bottleneck at the beginning. Can these things really be found in the hunting grounds? Yanhua frowned and began to have other wishful thinking in her mind. I think it's more fun to catch ferocious beasts. Let AI look for plants or something. The little girl must be looking for something safer. Yep. After muttering to herself, the horned lady smiled, began to throw away all the plants in her hands, and stuffed the drawings back into her bag. She jumped onto a big tree next to her, and began to keep walking towards climbing up. She planned to climb to the highest point of the big tree. She still knew the principle of standing high and seeing far, and planned to go to the highest place to see if there were any large ferocious beasts that could fly. Rustling. As the sound of climbing out continued to sound, the horn girl quickly climbed to the highest point. She took out a telescope from her bag and began to carefully explore the surrounding environment. They are all small flying birds, or the kind that can only carry 1 or 2 people, and cannot be used as transportation at all. Yanhua looked very disappointed, then put away the telescope and called the flying eagle over. When she was resting in the cave, she let the eagle go find food by itself. After all, it was a ferocious beast. You still have to solve the problem of filling your stomach by yourself. Yanhua originally wanted to look at the highest point of the tree trunk to see if there were any large ferocious beasts in the sky, but who knew that he found the peak eagle that had just filled his stomach. Comma. Feng Ying flew over and screamed coquettishly, then wanted to rub his head against Yanhua, but was immediately rejected by the latter. If you rub against me like this, it will fall. Yanhua jumped onto the back of the eagle. The horned lady planned to patrol the sky to look for it, so that she might have a higher chance of finding it. Please update for support and customization.